Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Shauna from Created and Made, and today I'm going to show you guys how I printed 30, yes 30, beautiful tags using just a single Kleenex. Fun stuff ahead. Stay tuned. Okay, so I'm getting started by pulling out my one Kleenex. Now, it is a 3-ply Kleenex, and I'm going to be separating the plies. I'm going to end up with 3 1-ply sheets. Now, I got these Kleenex from Amazon, but you can get them anywhere, Walmart, the drugstore, what have you. They are just regular 3-ply Kleenex. Now I'm starting off my first set of prints by balling up my 1-ply piece of Kleenex. And I've also taken my isopropyl and I've sprayed it on the plate and then also sprayed it on top of the Kleenex. So there's isopropyl on the top and the bottom. Now this just helps this alcohol ink move around more, and also helps it soak through. That's what we want it to do. We want it to soak through the tissue onto the plate underneath. Now I'm just applying my Ember is the orange color and Rosewood is the darker color alcohol inks to the plate, and now I'm going in with my first tag, and you see how beautifully that just transferred from that crinkled tissue Kleenex onto my first piece of card. Now I'm going to be cutting these into tags later, but for now they're just cards, and they measure 6 1/4 by 3 1/8, and I am just lightly touching those cards onto the tissue, and it's just transferring that pattern beautifully. Now this second thing that I'm doing is I took my second gel plate and I just mushed it on top of the tissue. Now I went in also with my heat tool because I wanted to get that pattern to dry quickly so it didn't move around too much. And I'm doing the same thing here as I'm lifting up the tissue from the first plate. Now, if you don't have a second gel plate, you can just go in with a piece of cardstock and pull a print instead of smushing the gel plate onto the tissue. Now I'm going in, I'm pulling these prints with my titanium white acrylic paint, and after I pull these, I'm pulling these onto a 100-pound cardstock, and after I pull them, I'm going to cut them down into the same size cards that I've been pulling the other tags, the other prints onto. But I wanted to be able to pull all of this off at once, so I'm using a larger sheet of paper. Now you can see how cool and textured these prints came out, and what you also notice is that it's not orange anymore. That ember color, which is the orange color, it sort of prints as pink in some spaces, so I just found that interesting. It's a pretty color. Now this is the last part of what I'm doing with these two colors, and that is taking the tissue itself and using it as fodder to create two more tags. Now I have applied some matte medium to my cards, and I am just going ahead and sticking that down to the tissue. Now I'm going to put something on top of it so that it stays flat, and I let it dry. And after it was dry, I'm just trimming off all this excess, and I'm also going to take my little sand block over there on the side, and you can sort of clean up the edges if something isn't quite smooth. If there are little pieces hanging over the side, you can just go ahead and sand those off with the sandpaper block that I got on Amazon, I believe. Now this is how I'm going to make the tags. This is what I'm going to do to all of the cards to turn them into tags. I have a Dina Wakley tag that I'm using as, maybe that's not a Dina Wakley tag. I have a different tag that I'm using as sort of the guide, and I use that to cut my corners, and I also use it to punch my hole. And on top of the hole, I have these hole protectors that I have colorized with a matching coordinating alcohol ink color. Now I have the hole reinforcers. I got those in bulk off of Amazon, I believe, and I just use my alcohol ink to recolor them. Now I have moved on to my second piece of the 3-ply Kleenex, and what I'm doing is I'm just bunching some of the Kleenex up, like I'm bunching a bit of it up, and I'm just ripping the tip off of that bunch, and that is creating these little holes, right? And you can use whatever method you want to make holes in the tissue, but that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get these holes, and now I've sprayed my isopropyl on the bottom and the top again, and I'm going in with a pitch black alcohol ink, and I am putting this alcohol ink into the holes that I ripped, right? Like I'm just dripping it into wherever the holes are on this piece of tissue. And now I'm going to go in also with a cloudy blue alcohol ink and just sort of fill in the gaps around where I had the black ink. Again, spraying with my isopropyl, and I touched up the color here and there, and I'm doing the same method that I did previously. I'm just taking my card, gently tapping it onto the tissue, and you're seeing how beautifully that ink is transferring, and I'm getting some really nice patterns, and I really like that one. Some really nice patterns on those cards. Again, I'm smushing my second gel plate into the first gel plate, and you'll see with this one how differently those two patterns ended up coming out, the first plate and the second plate. I think it's just a nice way to get some differentiation in the patterning by smushing it on top of the first plate. So I'm going to pull these prints here. You can see it's like a shattered, like a broken effect that tissue transferred onto that print. But this one, as you shall see, is a lot different. Like it has sort of a softer watercolory look to it, and I think they're both pretty good looking. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going to take that piece of tissue with the holes in it, holes and all, and I'm adhering it to my cards to create 2 additional tags using these colors, the pitch black and the cloudy blue. And I'm going to do this one like I did the other one. I put it under something heavy and to flatten it out. Now this last set of tags, as I just showed you, my tissue is now embossed. Yes, that 1-ply piece of tissue can be embossed. I used my Sizzix, and I used that embossing folder that I just showed you. That is an 8.5 by 11 inch embossing folder, and the whole piece of tissue was able to fit in there. And you can see that polka dot pattern on my tissue. I was pretty surprised that this tissue stood up to being embossed. Even at the 1-ply, it being a single ply, it was able to be embossed, and it didn't rip or anything like that. So this polka dot pattern created some really interesting prints, I think, and you can just think of the possibilities of using whatever embossing folders you have. I have like I said, the Sizzix Big Shot, but you know, think about your texture fades, your 3D texture fades. Now, I don't think that you can use the 1-ply tissue with the Tim Holtz 3D texture fades, but I know for a fact, because I did it, that if you kept it as a 3-ply, you can emboss those with the texture fades. And it's nuts, because I have ripped plenty of cardstock using my texture fades, but somehow this Kleenex didn't rip being embossed with those really thick embossing folders. So what you see me doing here is what I've just been doing the whole time. I was picking up prints with my card, and now I mush my gel plate into the first one to get a second sort of iteration of what is on the tissue. I pulled up my tissue and dried everything quickly so that I can maintain the pattern that is on the plate. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull these. I found it really interesting how that polka dot embossed pattern translated into these prints. I mean, it doesn't necessarily look polka dotted to me, but it still looks pretty. I think it came out really nice. So this is the final step here for this set is gluing down that piece of tissue so I can make 2 additional cards. Now, what's what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you guys every single tag we were able to make. Now, these are the final results. I have cut them. I have put my hole reinforcers on all of the tags, and you're able to see just how beautifully all 30 of these tags came out using a single piece of Kleenex. I think it's pretty incredible how well the patterns transferred off of that Kleenex, how well the Kleenex held up to having so much ink and spray on top of it, and that it didn't rip or tear or come apart, that it was able to be embossed. In addition, it just really did things I was not expecting a piece of Kleenex to do. Now, as I go through these prints, I mean, at the end, I'm going to pick a favorite, but just looking through these, I'm starting to change my mind. Like, I really like how a lot of these came out, and the colors of the alcohol inks really worked well together. I think it all came together. Now, there are 10 in each color set, so 30 in all. And you can also do this technique with tissue paper or rice paper. You just need something that's porous enough for the ink to soak in, and also strong enough for it to, not dissolve or fall apart or whatever. So see, I picked these two as my favorite because I really like these color combinations. I like the Cobalt and the Fiesta, but I'm not sure. A lot of those were looking pretty nice. What do you guys think? Let me know which ones you like the best down in the comments. If you like this video, please go ahead and leave a like, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I hope to see you guys next time, and in the meantime, keep creating and making. Bye bye.